of you who for a while you would recognize Olivia. Olivia, this is what, your
The third one, yeah.
third presentation, always email marketing. I think this is such a hot topic and always should be a topic for any business and truly like a foundational marketing asset. But it can feel very overwhelming for many of us. And so everything that you do, I love that you break it down to make it feel like, digestible and simple and all of that. And so you've been doing this a long time. So it was, as I said, a no-brainer that you would be the speaker on this. So I'm going to hand it over to you. And this is being recorded as always. And Olivia is going to include the presentation for us to give in the replay. So I'll hand it over to you, Olivia.
Probably go to my first slide. Here we go. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who's taken time out of your busy schedules to watch this. For me, I get excited when I see people interested in email marketing because so often people think that social media is like the be all end all when it comes to promoting your business online. And yes, social media is a super important piece of the pie, but it is really just a small piece of the pie of something that you need for a holistic digital marketing strategy. So before we get into this presentation, we are going to just quickly introduce myself. I'm Olivia or Liv. You can call me whatever. And I'm the owner of SheEO Digital. Previously, She Blooms Marketing, if you were here for one of my previous presentations the last couple of years. I have been in marketing strategy for, well, it says nearly, but it's actually over 10 years now, which feels crazy because I don't feel like I'm old enough to say that. Yet here we are. And my experience actually ranges from working with multi-million dollar corporations all the way to startups. And it's been an interesting journey for me because when I first started out in marketing and working, I was working with a really, really large corporation where my marketing budget was in the millions of dollars. And I was really used to, I'd say, like traditional forms of marketing. So a lot of, magazine ads and big fancy booths at conferences and trade shows and things like that. It wasn't until a job opportunity for my husband brought us to Kingston, a much smaller city than Toronto, where I don't want to say I had to settle, but kind of had to settle for working for something a lot smaller just because the big businesses didn't exist in Kingston. And I went from this big fancy marketing budget to something that was like a few $1,000s. And I almost quit so many times because I was like, I can't do anything with this budget. Like, this feels impossible. And then I'm not a quitter, so I stuck with it. But it was through that where I really found I had to get creative and start experimenting with resources that were readily available to me, which is social media, email marketing, Google Ads, and that type of thing. And I really, that's where we really started to see a lot of traction with the company I was working at for the time. And then a couple years ago, I decided to start up my own business and to help women in business grow their businesses and bring these strategies that I had learned throughout my 10 years of experience into these small businesses and startups. And one of the biggest things I always see with small businesses when we're talking about strategy, it's the implementation side. And as Meredith mentioned, I've given 2 email marketing presentations for these webinars now. And in those presentations, I actually provide a discount code for the email marketing platform we're going to be talking about. And what I see after the presentation is I see all of these signups using this link that I provide, which is great because I've convinced people the value of email marketing. But then what
And
I
what
see
I
is when it comes down to actually um, paying for the subscription and um, and implementing an email marketing strategy, there's a huge drop off. And I'm like, why is that? Like, you're interested enough to sign up, but then you're not actually doing the follow through. And as I get talking to people, I think it becomes very overwhelming when we start talking about things like forms and embed codes and all the different steps to get this set up. So when Meredith asked me to do this do a presentation on email marketing again, I was like, do you want me to do the same presentation or do something different? She's like, I don't care. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got thinking and I was like, if this is a problem that I'm seeing, I want to be able to address this. So the purpose of this presentation is just to go step by step using an example business or pretend business that we've made up, and just to show you how easy it is to really get your email marketing set up and to get going with this, because it really is such a powerful tool for your business. So there's actually screenshot videos that I've taken, and you're going to get the presentation link. So you can pause it, you can rewind and do this for yourself. Okay, but I'm sure there's maybe a couple of you on here who are thinking, okay, I'm starting to see the value of email marketing. I'm just not completely sure if it's going to be relevant for my business. And I'm here to say, if you have a business, email marketing is relevant and it's something that you should be doing. And so I always just like to kick these kinds of presentations off with some stats, because who doesn't love a good stat? For every dollar spent on email marketing, the average return on investment is $43 for every dollar spent. So I always like to say this example, like if your investment advisor came to you today and said, if you invest just $1 into this stock, you're actually going to earn $43. You would probably say, take all my money and invest it for me, because that ROI is crazy. 89% of marketers, and marketers are the people that understand how to sell products and services. If 89% of marketers are using email marketing as their primary way to generate leads, so should you. In Europe and North America, email marketing is the most used technology for customer engagement, more so than social media, which is kind of surprising when you look at it, because when you think of social media, you think engagement, you think likes, you think comments, you think shares. But what we're seeing is that email marketing is actually used for better engagement than social media. And then this is my favorite stat: email marketing is 40 times more effective at converting compared to social media. And one of the things that I always hear from people when trying to convince them to start email marketing is they say, I don't know, I just don't want to appear spammy and bother my subscribers too much. It looks desperate. But according to this stat, 61% of email subscribers, they actually like to receive email promotions weekly and would like to see promotional offers 2 to 3 times per week. So what that's telling us is that if they have taken the time to subscribe to your email list, they actually want to hear from you on a much more frequent basis than you probably think that they do. And if you're annoying them, they're just going to unsubscribe, and it's really not that big of a deal. Why I also love, so I'm just going to move this guy over here. Here we go. Why I also love, can you guys see this okay? I'm like, my screen is just looking a little, yeah, you can. Okay, amazing. Perfect. Sorry. Okay. Why I also love email marketing is because it compensates for certain areas of social media. People always think that social media is their sales tool. In fact, when they come to our business, asking for a discovery call, and I ask what kind of support they're looking for, they often say social media. I ask what their goals are, and they say, I want more sales. And then I say, well, what are you doing for email marketing? And they say, we're not doing email marketing. And so I have to remind people that social media is actually your brand awareness tool, whereas email marketing, that's your sales tool. And when you know the difference between these two tools, it's going to change the way you create your content. And then when you use them together, that's where the real magic happens. So one of the benefits of email marketing over social media marketing is there's no algorithm to compete with. Instagram has changed its algorithm again. People are noticing a big drop off with reach and engagement. Once again, this is very common in the Instagram space. But with email marketing, You don't have to worry about that. The only thing you need to worry about is creating a captivating enough subject line to convince people to actually open your email. It's a lot more simple. And you also get to control who sees your message and when. The algorithm does not determine that, or there's no algorithm to determine that for you when it comes to email marketing. You also have a much greater reach. And I love this example. My husband, he's a millennial. You would think that he's on social media, but he has no TikTok, no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter. He's got nothing. But what he does have is 3 different email addresses, all of which are subscribed to different email lists. So you're going to reach a much broader group of people. And even people who follow you on social media, they are not necessarily going to see your content. In fact, social media only shows your content to about 10% of your audience. So when you have a solid email marketing strategy, you're just going to expand the amount of people that you can actually reach. You also have much greater ownership over your subscribers. You do not own your followers. Instagram or TikTok or whatever platform you're on, they own your followers. And so we've seen it so many times where Instagram goes down, where an account gets hacked, an account gets suspended. And if that's your only way of reaching your audience, then you're kind of screwed. So with email marketing, you actually own that list. You can export that list, you can save it, you can put it in a safe so no one else can get it. Like it is yours to keep and yours to grow. And it's also way less work. Like, let's be honest, social media is sometimes feels like it's life draining and soul sucking, and email marketing just does not feel like that. Okay, so I've convinced all of you now, you are all going to sign up for you're all going to do email marketing after this. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to get started, and I have chosen my preferred email marketing platform that we're going to use for our example. If you're using a different system, that's fine. The steps will still be relevant. The overarching steps will still be relevant. Some of the actual setup things were going to be a little bit different for your specific platform, but you can still take away the overall steps needed to get started with email marketing. Okay, so we've just received our beautiful, stunning custom branding from My Wolf Design. They've created this beautiful logo for us. We have our brand kit, which is going to become very useful as we do the setup of everything. And this is one of the benefits of investing in professional branding because your designer makes it super easy for you to be consistent with your branding throughout all avenues of your digital marketing, from your website to your social media and your email marketing. So this is our business, Malloy & Co. Interior Design, and we're just going to go with it. All right, so our number one step is we need an email marketing platform. No, you cannot just use your business Gmail account or your business or your personal Gmail account to send out emails. You actually need an email marketing platform. And I highly, highly, highly recommend Flowdesk. I have used so many different platforms, and this by far stands out as my favorite for various reasons. The first being that it is extremely user-friendly. If you are not tech savvy, you're going to want to use Flowdesk. It's just very intuitive and easy to use. It also is the only platform that has the nicest looking template so that you can create really beautiful emails with ease. It has an option to apply your branding, which we're going to do in our example. And it's going to look way better than MailChimp or literally any other platform out there. It also has the best pricing structure. So with majority of the other email marketing platforms, you actually get charged based on the number of email sends you send per month. So the bigger your list is, the more expensive your plan is going to be. But with Flowdesk, you have like an unlimited number of subscribers. So actually, we just had a client who was with MailChimp. She was spending over $150 a month for her her MailChimp subscription, and we switched her over to Flowdesk, and she's now paying $38 a month for over 11,000 subscribers. So it's just the best pricing structure because it's not going to change. You're not going to get punished for your list growing, which is nice. So you can either use this link here, or at checkout, you can just use this code. And it's actually going to get you 50% off for your first year, which makes it extremely affordable for such a great platform. But you need to sign up first. When you sign up, it's going to be a couple steps of it's going to ask you to confirm your email. It's going to ask you what your business is, and then ask you a couple questions of like what your intent is with Flowdesk. Are you trying to sell products? Are you are you selling a service? So then once you answer that, we're going to just get to, we are going to I'm going to pause this just for a second. Okay. We're going to get to to the back end of our Flowdesk account, and we're going to start with our overview setup. So if you just click on that overview, you can add your name here. We're going to customize our Flowdesk handle. This is important because when you set up certain landing pages and stuff like that, if you don't customize this, you're going to get like a random URL that makes no sense. One's going to like, it literally says like avocado.5678 at flowdesk.com. Like you don't want that. So we're going to customize this here. So we have your business name in our Flowdesk handle. I've spelt it wrong in here, but that's okay. We are going to adjust our time zone so we make sure our emails are being sent at the wrong time when we're scheduling things. And that's the first step. Easy peasy. So then our next step is our email setup. So we can actually customize who the email is coming from. So you could just have your business name here. I kind of like when, especially if you're a service provider, adding like your name, it makes it feel like it's more intentional, more one-on-one, more personal, which just enhances the buyer experience. So you can customize this with whatever you want here. The next step is we actually need to authenticate our domain. And you're like, whoa, what is that? This sounds scary. I promise it's super easy. Because this is a pretend business, I don't actually have a domain to use for this example. But hypothetically speaking, your domain will be found here. And Flowdesk is going to walk you through how to do this. They have an automatic option to authenticate your domain, or you can do it manually, and they give it to you step by step. So it feels intimidating. I promise you it's not, but this is really important because it will prevent your emails from being triggered as spam and going to your subscribers' junk boxes. You don't want to spend all this time creating these beautiful emails with such valuable information only for them to go to someone's spam box or their junk box. I think this is a video. Okay, so we are going to now set up our branding. And this is where our brand kit is going to become very, very useful. So we're going to select the branding option. And we are going to simply drag and drop or upload our beautiful new logo. And now we're going to add our brand color. So we are going to open our brand kit, adjust the sizing. I should have sped this part up a bit. Okay. And then here we have all of our brand color codes that we are going to simply copy and paste from our brand kit into Flowdesk. It's literally that easy. While you're doing this, just try to keep a mental note of what your primary colors are and your secondary colors. You can reference your website for that too, just to keep everything consistent. If you have a secondary color, you don't want to be making that one of like the main colors on your email templates. Okay, so we've added our brand colors. Now we're going to add our brand fonts. I'm going to pause this for just a second. So your brand fonts, you are going to want to download those. You might have to pay for them. Even if you do, like it's worth it because you can use them. You can use them for like Canva graphics for social media. You're going to use them for your Flowdesk. So definitely recommend purchasing your brand fonts. For this example, some of these were purchased ones and I just didn't want to buy them. So I've uploaded kind of random ones, but pretend for this example that they are the brand fonts that are in our brand kit. But again, this is a super simple step. Again, you're just going to add a new font. You can either drag and drop or just upload your brand fonts. And again, also keeping just a mental note of what your brand font is for your subject lines, for your body copy, accent text, because you can't, it won't show you in here. So we're going to also add in our company details, our website. This is all going to show in the footer of your emails. And you also need to include a company address. If you, like me, work from home, you might not want to put your like personal address in here because it will show up in the footer. So a little tip, you could actually purchase a PO box and use that as your business address and include that here. You can also add your social links. There is also an option to, in the integration section over here, you can actually set up your like a live Instagram feed, which looks really cool in the end of your emails. Okay, so our branding is all set up, which is amazing. Okay, and then we're actually going to kind of skip a step for a second because we're going to go back. This is an important step for one of the things that we have to set up after this. So we're actually going to go and set up our segments. And what our segments are, it's how we organize our email list. And this is really important because when we segment our list, it helps us to meet our audience where they're at in our buyers in the sales cycle. So for example, if I have my list of social media clients, and they're on my email list, I'm not going to send them an email about why they should be working with a social media manager because they already have a social media manager. That email would be completely irrelevant to them. So instead, they might be added to a different list for, maybe email marketing services or something of that kind or new branding. The goal is just to meet people where they're at because the more targeted we can be with our messaging, the better our emails are going to do. So how we do that, it's under audience and we're going to click on segments. You're just going to simply click new segment. You can pick a color to easily identify it and you're going to name your segment. And I've done a bunch here. We won't watch this whole little video, but basically just try to be as specific as you can, as creative as you can with the different segments that would be relevant to your specific business. Okay, pause that. Okay, so now we're going to go back into our setup and we're actually going to go into our opt-in settings. So people can, in the footer of your emails that you send out, they can actually change their settings. And this is why we wanted to segment our list because in our opt-in settings, we can have people choose to be part of that specific segment that we've created. So let me go back here. Okay, so double opt-ins quickly. Let me pause this again. It is an option to require a double opt-in when people do subscribe to your list. Personally, I don't like double opt-ins. I think it's just kind of like an extra step that's not really necessary, and I find them annoying. So I just don't do them. So I'm skipping it for this specific example. So here we go. Yep, preference pages. So this is where our segments are going to become useful here. So we can actually add, people can opt into these specific segments here. And when you click on it, you can just choose one of the segments that we've created. So it's really nice and easy. I think I just go through all the ones I've created here. Almost done. Okay. And then on this page, you also have an option to style it and these are the only options. It's very minimal, but if you want, you could add in one of your brand colors here. It's going to depend how it looks. It's just an option to customize it with branding should you want it to look that way.
Olivia, there's just a quick question in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Diane's just asking, what is a double opt-in?
Okay, good question. So a double opt-in is, for example, if I've subscribed to My Wolf Designs email list, I put in my email and then I'm going to get an automatic email to my inbox, basically just verifying if I actually want to opt in. And then it's going to provide me a link. And then I'm going to have to click on that link and confirm that I actually want to be part of this email list. So it's just like it's an extra step to confirm that someone really wants to be there. But in my opinion, like if someone's already given you their email, they're already telling you that they want to be part of that list. So I just don't do them. That's just a personal preference of mine. Okay, so now all the backend stuff is all set up in terms of like our overview, who our emails are coming from, our branding's applied. Now we actually need a place for people to go and actually subscribe to our email list. And we're going to do that with forms. And this is where people kind of start getting freaked out, but I promise it is really easy to create a form and it's really easy to get it connected to your website and social media. So for our example, whoops, hold on. Okay, pause. No, sorry. Okay, here we go. So for our forms, I've actually gone in for the sake of time and created two different forms. There's a ton of different form options that you can create from a landing page, which is basically going to be, think of it as like its own little website page that gets its own URL. And this is just easily shared. So for social media, a landing page is a good option because in stories, you can actually share the link. So people can subscribe that way. I also like Flowdesk's landing pages because it also gives you an option for people to subscribe to a specific segment. So that's one of the reasons why I like landing pages. You could also you could have a button on your website that then links to this landing page. Your other option is a pop-up. And pop-ups are great. They actually are like one of my main ways that I generate email subscribers because they're in your face, they're quick, they're easy. And this is typically used for something like a freebie or a download, a promo code. It's basically your lead magnet you want to promote here with a pop-up. And then the last thing is our inline code, or inline form, sorry, which is something that is actually embedded into your website. I typically like to have an inline form embedded in the homepage and the contact page, and we're actually going to create that together with our example here. So as you can see, these are all the different form types that you can choose from. And so we are going to create our form. We selected our segment, and now we're going to customize our form. And you can make this copy a lot more creative than I've done for this example here. When you're writing the copy for it, just don't say like, join my newsletter, because that's boring. Like try to make it exciting and make people like want to join your email list, think that they're getting something special from being on your list. So we're going to apply all of our branding here, make sure we're using the proper fonts. One thing to keep in note with our buttons here, make sure your button style matches what's on your website. If you're using like an oval button, if you're using an oval button on your website, you don't want a square button on your forms because then because it's embedded into your site, it's going to look very disjointed. So just it's all about the details. So make a mental note of that. Okay, so we're almost done. Yep, this looks lovely. Now we are going to embed it. And this is what looks so scary for people is all of this code because they think, oh my gosh, I'm not a coder. Like this, I don't know what to do with all this numbers and letters. It's very easy. If you have a website designer, which you should, all you're going to do is you're going to copy the header code, you're going to copy the inline code, and you're going to send it in an email to your website designer, and they will be able to do this for you in like 5 minutes. If you don't have a website designer, Flowdesk has so many tutorials of all different types of website platforms of how to embed their codes into your specific website host that you're using. So it feels overwhelming. I promise you it's not. And if you have questions, you can always reach out for this specific part here. So you're just going to embed that into your website. And now you actually have a place for people to sign up, which is fabulous. We are well on our way here. Okay. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Okay. Nope. Sorry. Okay, our welcome sequence. Here we go. So imagine you're walking into a storefront and you see that there's all these beautiful things. You're walking in excited, and no one in the store greets you. No one tells you about the promotions that are happening. No one tells you anything that's new that's going on. And you're kind of just like, oh, that was a very underwhelming experience. I'm not as motivated to buy anymore. I don't really feel welcomed here. I'm going to leave the store. It's kind of like the same thing if you have an email list, someone subscribed and you don't welcome them to your email list. You don't give them an offer or anything like that. So our welcome sequence is basically it's an email automation that's going to welcome people to our list as soon as they sign up. So what we are going to do is we're actually going to start by creating just a basic email, because instead of creating the email, pausing it again, instead of creating the email through the workflow sequence or the workflow option on Flowdesk, we can actually copy and paste this template that we are going to create so we can use it for future emails to save us some time. So how we're going to do that is we're going to create an email. As you can see, Flowdesk has so many templates to choose from that you can just apply your branding to. They even have specific ones for welcome emails to make it even easier. We're going to start from scratch because that's what I like to do. We're going to name our email here. And then you can play around with the logo size. They have all these templates here that you can choose from and customize. We are going to add in our brand fonts, play with the sizing. We are going to add our own brand photos because having your brand photos will make your emails look so much better. And we're just going to add in our text here. This is already here, so I did not put any text here, but pretend you've put your own copy in here, welcoming people to your list. We also want to make sure that we're breaking up our text. We don't want anything that's too text heavy because it's going to lose people's interest. Again, we're going to add in our buttons, make sure everything's linked correctly, make it just look nice and visually appealing here. We just got new brand photos, so our next presentation will have all new brand photos that are not over a year old. Okay. So once this all looks good, which we're almost at here, we are going to, okay, so everything looks amazing. Now we are going to, it's going to automatically save for us, which is so nice. So we're going to go back, and now we're actually going to create our workflow. So we're going to create a new workflow. And again, because Flowdesk is the best, they have templates that you can already use for a workflow. We're going to start from scratch, call it our welcome sequence so we don't get confused when we create new sequences. So we're going to add our trigger, and our trigger is when someone is added to our website signups or a lead magnet or whatever segment we want them to be added to. We are then going to duplicate an existing email, which is the email we just created. We are going to tweak our subject line and our preview text. And again, we want this to be fun and uplifting, get people to want to open it. And so this is like a very, very basic welcome sequence. With Flowdesk, you actually have the option, and I'll just show you here, where we can add additional emails. We can add a time delay. We can send an email based on a specific action that our subscriber makes. So you can get very creative with these workflows to really help drive your audience through your sales cycle. It's a really, really great tool. And like, I actually have never used a platform that does workflows better than Flowdesk. Okay, so now everything's set up, right? Like it's actually so easy. We've applied our branding, we've added our logo, we've done our segments, we have our automation all set, we have our forms. One last step that we can do is we can actually go in and add some subscribers. Now we have to be really careful about this because there are specific laws about adding people to an email list who have actually not physically opted in. This option that we have here from Flowdesk to upload a CSV file or like a big group of subscribers works really well. Say if you want to upload your current client list and you want to send targeted emails to your clients, people who already belong to you. Another great feature is if you, for example, are a med spa and have an EMR system, as I know some systems like Jane app, people can subscribe to your email list when signing up for when booking an appointment with you. So you could actually export that list and upload it to Flowdesk here. But again, just don't like upload all your friends and family to your Flowdesk account because it's not legal. And it's also not genuine growth for you either. It's not going to really yield any results. And the nice thing is, unlike social media where you can see everyone's follower count, no one's going to know how many email subscribers you have. So you don't need to have fake email subscribers, okay? It's just silly. Okay, so now we're going to just go over some email marketing tips and tricks that I've just learned throughout my years that I think will be of use for you guys. So, one of the biggest challenges with email marketing is actually growing an email list. So, one way that we're going to do that is with a lead magnet. And your lead magnet is something that you're going to offer your audience in exchange for their email address. And you want it to be something that's very specific to you and to your business and something that's of value. If you are a retail store, for example, you could offer a promotion. If you're more of like a service-based business, you can offer a guide or a resource. We actually just did a really cool quiz with a client as her lead magnet. So you can get really creative here, but just you want people to think like, wow, I just got this for free. Imagine what I could get from this person if I actually paid for their services. And so how this works is where we're going to leverage social media to grow our email list. This is one of my personal examples here. This is my lead magnet, which is just a guide to Instagram analytics, a step-by-step guide to measure your performance on Instagram. I'm then going to promote this guide on social media. I'm going to post it in stories. I'm going to pin it on my grid, let people know that this exists. And then in my profile and in my stories links, I'm going to link them to my Flowdesk form here where they're going to give me their email address. They're going to also let me know their content preferences if they want to. And then they're going to get the guide. They're automatically added to my email list. And then my workflow is set up to automatically deliver this guide to their inbox. So the goal of social media is that we want to get people off the app and into your email list, onto your website, whatever it is, because no, if you're not getting people off the app and actually taking an action, then like, what's the point? That's not going to pay your bills for you. Okay, so next we actually want to develop our content strategy. We've built our list up, everything's set up. Now we're going to start sending our emails. And my biggest tip is to not create content on the fly. We want to strategically map out our email content and how we want to present it. So you've probably heard of content pillars if you're on social media. A lot of people use content pillars for their social media content. You can use those same pillars and bring them into your email marketing. In fact, a little fun tip for your email content, if you just go back to what you shared on social media, you can create an entire email out of a single post that you did 2 years ago or 6 months ago. Like repurpose that content and just expand on it. We also want to make sure we're focusing on selling. We don't want to just focus on selling. We want to provide value to our audience, which is why I like to stick to the 80-20 rule, where we're providing value 80% of the time and we're selling and promoting 20% of the time. And I'm going to give you a quick example of what that might look like in the next slide. And then if you're someone who likes to stay organized, kind of map out what you're going to do for the next few weeks or months or so, use an email content calendar just to give you that overview of your content that's going to come out of your emails. So going back to our interior designer examples, here's some content pillars or content ideas of sticking to that 80-20 rule. So in 20% of that email, maybe we'll talk about some different design openings we have for the summer or reasons you want to work with an interior designer instead of going at it the DIY route. And then the other 80%, maybe we're throwing in some decorating tips. Maybe we're talking about interior decorating trends that are currently happening. Maybe we're going to show some design inspiration, which could be your portfolio. Maybe there's a product spotlight of a couch that you're really loving this season, and then we can show some project reveals. So again, we just want it to not be all sell, sell, sell. We really want to provide that value to our subscribers. And then one of the questions I always get is how often should I send emails? This, unfortunately, there's no clear answer for this, but there is an interesting stat that shows that open rates and click rates tend to decrease with email frequency, but sales tend to increase with consistent and frequent email marketing. Essentially, this is something you're just going to have to play around with. If you sell products, like if you are a boutique or you have like physical products, you would probably benefit from weekly, maybe multiple times a week emails to really push out those products. If you're more service based, you can maybe get away with scaling back where maybe you do a email every 2 weeks or a monthly email. I always tell people though, if you've never started email marketing, start with one email a month, see how it goes, and then increase your frequency from there. But look at your analytics, see what's performing well, and adjust and go based on what the data is telling you.
Olivia, just on that too,
Yeah.
is that I think it's important to remember you could send, say, an email a week, but to different segments. So that's
Yeah.
why it's such a gray answer. You
Yes.
could be pumping out emails, but it's always to a different audience. So
Totally.
you may be creating an email a day, but that audience is only hearing from you once a month.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with one of my clients too, what we do is we send out a weekly email. Her once a month, this email goes out to her whole list, which is just like a general update. Here's what's new, here's what's going on. And then every the other 3 weeks of the month, we're hitting a specific target. And it's kind of an adjustment because her whole list is like 6,000 people. And then the individual segments are like, sometimes some of them are like 100 people. And it's convincing people that like that might be only going to 100 people, but that is a very specific group of people. And you're going to get more traction from those 100 people than the 6,000 people who, this wasn't really a super relevant email for them.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I
Okay. So yeah, content calendars, if you are someone that just likes to stay organized, a good old-fashioned spreadsheet does the trick just fine. So what you could include in your content calendar is what your content category is. So what overarching topic are you going to be talking about? Is it educational? Are we doing tips and tricks? And then you can include your subject line, things you want to make sure that you're for sure going to mention in your email body. Because what happens if we're creating content on the fly, maybe we're creating on the fly and then later we go back and we think, oh shoot, I forgot to mention this super important thing that I meant to include in my email. Make sure you include your call to action. I cannot tell you how many times people do not include a call to action. So you have this beautiful email with this great information, but no like shop now or apply here. Like there's no call to action. We are not mind readers. So you have to be very specific with the specific action that you want your audience to take. Make sure you include any promotional offers you want included or freebies, your send date, and then you can have a little email status just to help keep you on track. Okay, and then very quickly, we have our canned spam laws, which I briefly talked about. So in Canada, it is illegal to send marketing emails to anyone that has not subscribed to your list. You have to get consent to send marketing emails, which is why you want to use an email marketing platform, because it allows you to comply with CAN spam laws. It allows people to unsubscribe. It tracks when they've subscribed, how they've subscribed, what segment they subscribe to. So it just helps you to be compliant with all these laws, because the penalties are actually quite severe. And I don't think anyone's going to tell on you, but better safe than sorry. All right, so some tips for creating visually appealing emails. Branding, branding, branding. You want to make sure you're being consistent. Use your colors, use your fonts, and use them properly. You also want to make sure you're using your professional brand photos. Brand photos is one of the best things that you can invest in, because not only can you use them for your website, not only can you use them for your social media, but you can use them in your emails. And people are going to connect to it so much better when they see an actual picture of you and your services or your products, compared to just a random stock photo on the internet that's been seen by millions of other people. If you are using a free platform that doesn't let you use pretty templates, you can utilize programs like Canva to create nice graphics to embed into your website, just to make it look a little nicer than what something like MailChimp's going to allow you to do with their templates that they have. Make sure that your fonts, that they're not smaller than, size 15. You want it to be people to be able to read it, especially if it's on a mobile phone. Make sure you infuse your personality into your emails. Please don't just use ChatGPT and say, create an email for me based on this topic. When people are reading the email, you want them to be like, wow, I actually hear their voice in my head, like reading this email to me. You want it to feel conversational. And then break up that text heavy email. Don't just have a long line of text. It's boring. Like, you want to keep people visually engaged. And back to our brand voice, it's so important. We want to make sure that we're bringing your unique perspective into your email content. So really think, like, what is your brand tone of voice? And a lot of people have never actually thought of this before. Is it fun? Is it serious? Is it intelligent? Is it bubbly? Is it elegant? Like, really do a deep dive of how do you want it to sound, and make sure that that tone of voice is consistent across all of your digital marketing platforms as well. You don't want your website to sound super professional and elegant and intelligent, but then your emails kind of are like silly and off brand, if that makes sense. So you want your tone of voice to follow through all areas of your digital marketing. And think about what isms you can actually add into your email copy. Like, what little things are unique to you, like little sayings, way you address people, and how can you bring that into your email copy? And again, we just really want to emulate that face-to-face conversation. Okay, and then I think we're almost at the end here. Tips for writing attention-getting subject lines. So while there is no algorithm to compete with, people get hundreds of emails a day from Old Navy and Lululemon and their kids' school and, all these things. There's so much noise in someone's inbox. So this is actually one of the more difficult parts of getting people to open your email, is that subject line. So we really want it to stand out. One of the easiest things to do, use emojis that are relevant to that subject line. It's that nice little visual that helps your subject line to stand out just a little bit more. You also have the option with InflowDesk, if you've captured someone's name, you can actually add their name to not just the email body, but also to the subject line. So you could say, Liv, I see you struggling with that DIY home reno. You could ask a question in your subject line. Are you struggling to execute the vision that you have for your home? Pretend that you're talking to a friend. Okay, friend, it's time to ditch that DIY home reno. Feel free to add in some humor. For example, hire a designer because Pinterest doesn't do floor plans. Just think of things that are creative and out of the box that are going to capture the attention of your audience. And that is it.
I'm so impressed with how you did the videos in that, which has nothing to do with email marketing, but like that was brilliant.
Oh, I try my best.
Okay. Oh, we have that was awesome. Thank you in the chat from Diane. So, okay, that was so much. I absolutely loved it. If you guys have questions, just you can pop it into the chat or, oh, we're getting many thanks. So informative and inspiring. More thank yous. Does anyone have any questions for Olivia? One thing, thanks. If I have MailChimp, am I able to move my current list to Flowdesk?
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You have the option to export your list. I'm trying to like do a mind map of like where this is, but there's an option if you click on like your audience on over top of where it shows your subscribers, there's going to be an option to export your list. And it's so easy. All you're going to do is you're going to just drag and drop that list that you export into Flowdesk when you go to add new subscribers, and it's going to take you like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So yes, it is super easy to migrate over to a different platform and not lose your subscribers.
Anybody else with any questions? I'm also a Flowdesk user. That's how you guys all joined this
Yeah.
webinar. It's how I run the entire monthly speaker series. So this is like one of my lead magnets.
Yeah, and like this is like such a good lead magnet because it provides value. It's out of the box and it's clearly working.
Mhm. Yeah, it's been really great. Like I'm huge on education and all of that. So it fits with the brand, like, and it using Flowdesk makes it easy to be able to
Yes,
update everything, right? So
totally.
yeah, yeah. Anyone else? That seems to be it. Not too many questions.
Overwhelmed people. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah, wave. Okay, perfect. If nobody else has anything, then I will grab the processing. Yeah. Um,
process.
yeah. I'll get the presentation from you, Olivia, and I will have the replay out later today,
Amazing.
everyone. And I'll make sure I include your information as well. So, okay, amazing. Thanks for joining, everyone. And thank you, Olivia. That was awesome.
Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.